Hi, I'm Novel Mike, and this is my opinion. So, I'm going to just basically make this video my first impressions of Pokemon Sun and Moon. There's a lot to like and some stuff not to like. I'm not going to try to hamper too much on the negative things, because I do think there is a lot to like in these games, and I do like them a lot. But I do want to bring up a couple things. But anyway, let's start with the good stuff. First of all, the new Pokemon are really good. I don't like all the designs of the Pokemon, but every Pokemon that I've used, I've liked in some way, shape, or form. Either because it's got a good move pool, or sometimes unique typing, or it's got a good stats allocation where not everything is a glass cannon like you see a lot of in the previous generations. And in general, I just think that most of the Pokemon have interesting mechanics, interesting abilities, stuff like that. And I think that that is probably one of the best things about these new games is that all the Pokemon that I've seen so far feel like they aren't filler, which I even in X and Y with the limited roster they had, some of the Pokemon still felt like filler, and I don't really get that impression so far from here, even if some of the designs are kind of stupid at times. Besides that, I think the region of Alola is immensely one of the best things about the game. It's these four islands, clearly based off Hawaii, and you have different elements in play here. One of the big things that they changed from the previous games is instead of it being more mythology based, it's much more religion based and faith based, where you have these guardian Pokemon. Each island has a different guardian, and people like worship these deity Pokemon as sort of deities. They hold festivals for them, like normal people would different gods, and they do certain like rites and stuff like that to honor those Pokemon, and it definitely feels more faith based than they have before, and I think that actually helps to expand the world of Pokemon because with many Pokemon games they very much have mythologies based off of the worlds and stuff like that, but they don't really talk about faith. And that lack of it, when you look back on those, comparing it to this game, it's much more noticeable, and the worlds don't feel as unique without some sort of faith. With how much people love Pokemon, it would make sense that they do consider certain Pokemon to be a deity kind of thing, and the other games don't really have characters that do that, and it's nice to see that change a little bit in this and be such it's not even like a huge element at play of the games, but it's just like one of those things that mentioned that does open the world up much more than previous games. Besides that, the music is fantastic. I think the music helps the world of this game come to life, and it has some of the best music I've heard in a long time in Pokemon games. I have yet to hear one track that actually annoys me anyway, or that I don't mind listening to for a long time. Like if I just put my 3DS down for a while, everything feels and sounds really great. Other things aren't as great, but they're at least good ideas. For one thing, I actually take that back. This last one, I forgot to mention. The HM system is gone. That is probably one of the biggest changes that they made that I absolutely love. There are no more HMs. Now those moves that you would need for HMs are part of a key item that you have that you can call up anytime, which is a Pokemon pager, where essentially you press Y and you can pick one of whatever Pokemon you've unlocked. You start with a Tauros, and essentially that works as like you essentially ride that Pokemon, and it works as fast transportation like a bike. So like Tauros, for example, he can charge and he can move really fast and run you through routes really quickly, but his charge also breaks through rocks like Rock Smash. And they involve a lot of key items and or not a lot of, but some key items and HMs in the system. Like Stoutland is basically your item finder. You hold B while you're riding Stoutland and it can search for items. And like Charizard is one that you basically call on him and he'll fly you to a location you've been to. Surf works the same way and stuff like that, and you unlock more as you progress through the game, and that unlocks more areas for you to explore and see. And it's definitely one of the best changes that they've put in these games, and it makes it so you don't have to hamper a move down on that Pokemon for that. So the whole idea of an HM slave is gone essentially, which I adore. Getting back to more of the mixed things, one thing that I really liked and didn't like is the way that they've changed how your normal status screen works in battle. So when you get a buff or debuff, now you can actually click on a little icon on your touchscreen and it'll say whatever buffs or debuffs you have, how many levels they are, that kind of thing. I'll also show you like extra status conditions like confusion, charm, stuff like that, but also weather effects as well, which is really cool. The thing I don't like about this system is when you look at your moves, once you've beaten a Pokemon, it'll tell you what effects work on what Pokemon. So you beat a Bulbasaur for the first time, it'll tell you if you got a flying move and it's super effective, or if you've got a grass move, it's not very effective, even if you never use those moves on that Pokemon. So I get why they did this, because it makes it so you don't have to literally be holding a type chart right next to you as you're playing, well, at least once you've beaten the Pokemon for the first time. But it does take away some of the discovery of learning, what moves work on certain Pokemon. And I wish that instead of doing what they did where it just tells you everything, that they made it a little bit more limited, where essentially if you use a move on a Pokemon, it will then tell you if that Pokemon is, effective, super effective, or not effective with that type of move. So if, for example, if you used Peck on a Bulbasaur and you learn that it is super effective flying is super effective on a Bulbasaur, then it'll tell you going forward that, instead of just telling you what works on it, whether you use that type of move on it or not. It's not like a big deal, but for me, it takes away some of the discovery. And if they want to have that in, just permanently for people, just so they know and make it a little bit easier, I wish there was at least a way of turning it off if you did not want to use it. Because I do think, for me, I would prefer to not know it, especially when I'm doing a Nuzlocke, because it takes away some of the discovery of it. Especially when you're trying to catch new Pokemon and you can already know what type they are even before you actually catch them. If you've battled them against a trainer before, and then you're encountering in the wild for the first time, and you already kind of know what type it is before you actually catch it and find out for sure. Besides that, the only real negative things I have to say about the game is I wish it wasn't so linear and hand-holding. They do a really stupid thing where essentially, like in previous games, Snorlax would block the way, Psyduck and like Gen 4 would block one area, stuff like that. And that's been a common thing in the series, but they really overuse it here. In the first part of the game, Tauros blocks your way multiple times until, they're ready for you to, progress through the story at certain elements. And you see that throughout every single island, where until you do a certain key plot point, you clearly cannot get through this area. And it's not just a roadblock, it's always, sometimes it is an actual roadblock, but most of the time it's just a Pokemon standing in the way, and just they'll give you some exposition on why you can't go that way right now. And it's just a really lame way of doing things. And especially with the second island has 3 challenges that you can do. And these challenges essentially replace the gym battles, and it's more about wild Pokemon than like gym battles which were against trainers. But that I don't want to dive too much into those because I haven't seen all of them yet to really make a full judgment on those. I think they're okay, but I wish they were a little bit better than what they are. But anyway, so in the second island, you have these 3 different challenges you can do, and the levels of those Pokemon of the boss Pokemon that you fight from this are generally like between 20 and 26, which isn't a huge gap compared to like certain gym battles, which 5 or 6 levels per gym, not like between 3. So I wish, and with how this island is designed, if they didn't have those roadblocks or those road Pokemon in the way, blocking your way, it would let you explore a lot more. And that's one thing that the older games had that I think that especially the newer games like this one in X and Y really lack, is a true feeling of a world to explore, Instead, they guide you on a very linear path around where they want you to go at any time. And I think that that's something I would really like to see them change in the future, because I want to explore this world as I see it and as I want to do it. You can still, have a certain like location you think and want me to go to, but still give me the room to really explore and see things for myself and do things out of order if I want to, or if I think I'm capable of doing that. Even the first generation let you do that, especially after the third gym, where essentially you could do the well, I guess it was technically after the fourth gym, where you could do 2 or 3 different gyms before you actually continue on the main story if you wanted to. It gave you options, it gave you room to explore the world, and you don't really get that in this game or in X and Y, and I think that they need to stop doing that and let the player really search the world for themselves, because it's one of the more fun elements that you don't really get anymore in these games, and I really wish they did, because the world is so unique and fun to look at and see all the different looking areas and stuff like that. And anyway, I'm harping on that a little bit too much. It's just a very noticeable thing that I think is probably one of the biggest changes that they've made in some of the more recent games that I wish they'd stop doing, because these games work best when the player is allowed to have freedom and explore things at their own pace. But anyway, in general, I do think that the games are really good. They're in many ways a step in the right direction. I'm still not sure on trials versus gym battles, but I may do another video specifically on that at a later time once I've seen them all. Because I don't know if they change up any more later on. But what I've seen so far, it's an interesting concept that I hope they build on and make, elaborate more in whatever next game they do. But I think in general they could have been done a lot better and made more unique and use the world itself more instead of just these specific locations that they use. But anyway, I'm Novel Mike. That was my opinion. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys are enjoying Pokemon like I am, and have a great day, everybody. See ya. Hi, I'm Novel Mike, and thanks for watching my video. If you enjoyed this, please like and leave a comment down below, and if you really liked it, please share it with your friends. If you would like to see more from me, check out the other videos on the screen right now, and if you would like to see more content from me in the future, click the subscribe button. Thanks. Bye.